Rachael Ray built an empire on 30-minute meals and infectious smiles. But this bubbly chef who made cooking feel easy is no longer the same. She has a puffier face and a disheveled appearance that has fans spiraling into worry. Is she okay? What's really going on behind the scenes? And why won't anyone give us a straight answer? Rachael Ray posted a video on Instagram talking about her late friend Tony Bennett. The story's sweet, but fans weren't focused on the story. They were concerned about two things: how she looked and how she spoke. Her hair's undone, no makeup. She looks tired in a way that feels deeper than just a long day. The usual energy, that signature Rachael Ray brightness, feels muted, and she was slurring her speeches. This wasn't the Rachael that fans remembered from 30-minute meals or her 17-season daytime talk show that ended in 2023. And this isn't an isolated incident. In February 2025, in a clip from Meals in Minutes, she seemed playful, but the playfulness felt forced, and fans described her behavior as bizarre. Then in May 2025, Mother's Day, she posts a tribute to her mom, talks about growing up poor, learning to stretch $40 a week for food, the values her mother taught her, making something out of nothing. Beautiful sentiment. But again, fans saw the same things. The speech pattern that doesn't quite match what they expect. The unpolished appearance that feels so different from the polished television personality they grew up watching. In October 2025, paparazzi catch her in New York City heading to the Drew Barrymore show. The photos spread across tabloids within hours. Headlines scream about her unrecognizable appearance. Swollen face, no makeup, casual clothes that look thrown on without thought. Again, fans panic. Everyone is asking the same question. What happened to Rachael Ray? But here's what we know for sure, and what we don't. In October 2024, Rachael mentioned she suffered a couple of bad falls. But they weren't just falls. They were falls that temporarily stopped her from doing physical activities she loves, carrying firewood, making dinner, the homemaking tasks she's always valued. She doesn't elaborate, doesn't explain how the falls happened or how badly she was hurt. Just that they happened and limited her physically for a time. Her naturally raspy voice comes from childhood croup, not a recent development. In 2008, she had minor surgery for a benign vocal cord cyst. Cleared up, no cancer. Her rep at the time called her the picture of health. But that was 17 years ago. Things change. Bodies age. Health shifts. The speculation ran wild. Strokes, undisclosed illnesses, mental health struggles. Everyone has a theory. No one has confirmation. An insider tells the Daily Mail it's a bum wisdom tooth causing the speech issues. Not a stroke, a dental problem. That explanation satisfies some fans. Others remain unconvinced. Her rep has previously called her the picture of health. But no new official statements address the recent concerns directly. No denials of major problems. No confirmations either. Just silence punctuated by occasional appearances and cryptic podcast comments. Then she shared a message on her podcast with actor Billy Crudup. That's the beauty of life. You have to learn to understand when things are sad, and what everything means ultimately to your choices. When things are sad. What things? She doesn't say. Fans fill in the blanks themselves. Health problems, personal struggles, loss, depression. Everyone is projecting their own fears onto the vague statement. Is she protecting her privacy? Is there nothing to protect? Is the concern overblown? Or is something serious happening that she's choosing not to share? You tell us, because you genuinely don't know, and neither does anyone else watching from the outside. But maybe the changes started before the recent videos. Maybe they started on August 9th, 2020. Lake Luzerne, New York, about 60 miles north of Albany in the Adirondacks. Rachael's upstate home built from historic barns, a timber frame structure with cathedral ceilings, the place where she'd been filming her talk show during the pandemic with her husband John Cusimano working as cameraman and producer. Early evening. A neighbor passing on an ATV notices something. Smoke, flames. The roof of Rachael's house is on fire. The neighbor alerts them. Rachael and John evacuate quickly. Her mother, Elsa Scuderi, gets out. Their dog, Bella, escapes. Everyone's physically safe. But then Rachael watches her home burn. State investigators later determined the fire started accidentally in a fireplace chimney, a creosote fire that sent burning chunks onto the roof. The blaze spread fast through the timber frame structure. Flames consumed the roof. The second floor suffered heavy damage. Over a dozen local fire departments responded but couldn't save the bulk of the house. Rachael ran back in, despite the danger, despite firefighters telling her not to. She tried to save irreplaceable items, letters from her mother who was 87 at the time and losing her eyesight, decades of cards and notes, paintings made specifically for her and John, music they'd collected, photos, notebooks, the physical evidence of their existence together. She got out with almost nothing. "We lost a huge part of the physical evidence that we exist," she said later. "All of the things we had created, paintings and pictures and music, plus everything we were gifted over the years or collected together as a couple, paintings that were made for us and letters that were written to us." Her mom was technically blind by then. Those letters represented decades of communication, memories that couldn't be recreated or replaced. Gone. The kitchen survived. Ironically, the state-of-the-art kitchen where she'd filmed countless episodes remained largely intact with minimal water damage. The space where she performed her public life stayed. But upstairs, where she'd lived her actual private life, destruction. The bedroom, the personal spaces, the areas the cameras never saw, those burned. She got emotional describing it later, how it changed her life forever, how you don't realize what matters until it's burning in front of you and you can't stop it, how first responders tried to save what they could, but some things just can't be saved. They rebuilt, nearly identical to the original, a full year of construction while they lived elsewhere, architects and builders recreating the timber frame structure, replacing the cathedral ceilings, rebuilding the second floor, matching what was lost as closely as possible, moving back into a house that looked like the one they lost but felt different. The structure was the same, the layout matched, but all the history inside was gone. No letters taped inside drawers, no photos hung in the same spots because the photos were gone too, no notebooks with decades of recipe ideas and life notes. Starting over in a familiar shell, she channeled the grief into work, created a show helping others rebuild after disasters, talked about how disasters make us grateful for what we have, not what we've lost, turned her trauma into purpose, used her experience to help others going through similar losses. But maybe you can't just build your way past that kind of loss. Maybe watching your life burn leaves marks that don't show up in blueprints. Maybe trauma sits inside you and comes out later in ways you don't expect. Just weeks before the fire in May 2020, her dog Isabu died, 15 years together. Then the house. 2 massive losses in 3 months during a pandemic when the world already felt unsteady. She tweeted after the fire, "In last few months we lost our dog of 15 years and our home to fire." 2 sentences. Decades of companionship and memories reduced to a single tweet. Does loss like that change you? Does it show up later in ways you don't expect? In exhaustion that looks like something else? In a face that carries weight that isn't just physical? We don't know, but we wonder. Maybe understanding where she's been helps understand where she is now. Rachael wasn't born into wealth or comfort. Working-class upbringing, restaurant family. She learned early that nothing comes easy, and everything costs more than you think. Her mother taught her to stretch $40 a week for food, not as a fun challenge, as a necessity, as for survival. Making something out of nothing wasn't a cooking philosophy. It was how they lived. Those lessons stuck. They became the foundation of her entire career. $40 a day wasn't just a show concept. It was her actual life experience translated into television. She knew how to stretch money because she'd had to. She knew how to find deals and make cheap ingredients taste good because that was survival, not performance. 30-minute meals made her a Food Network star not because she was a trained chef, but because she wasn't. She was someone who worked all day and still needed to eat. Someone who didn't have hours to spend in the kitchen. Someone who understood that most people cooking at home aren't trying to create restaurant-quality dishes. They're just trying to feed themselves and their families without losing their minds. The concept that you don't need expensive ingredients or hours of prep to make something good resonated because it was true. You just need to be resourceful and willing to try. You need to stop being intimidated by cooking and start seeing it as a skill anyone can learn. That authenticity, that real understanding of working-class life, connected with millions of viewers. She wasn't talking down to anyone. She was talking to people like herself, like her mother, like the versions of themselves who counted pennies and made it work anyway. Her cookbook 30-Minute Meals launched in 1998. The Food Network show followed, then $40 a Day in 2002, then Rachael Ray's Tasty Travels, then the syndicated daytime talk show in 2006 that would run for 17 seasons. From struggling to pay rent to building an empire. From $40 a week for food to creating a production company. The American dream playing out in kitchens and on television screens. She was relatable, and their relatability built her empire. She wasn't a classically trained chef. She was someone who figured it out. Someone regular people could connect with. Someone who made cooking feel accessible instead of intimidating. She founded Rachael's Rescue and the Rachael Ray Foundation. Proceeds from her Nutrish pet food line fund animal rescues. Millions donated over the years helping at-risk pets find homes. She's poured her love for animals, especially dogs, into tangible help for creatures that can't help themselves. After Isabu died, she adopted Bellaboo Blue, a puppy to bring light back into the grief. But you don't replace 15 years. You just try to keep going. So here's where things stand as of late 2025. Rachael is professionally active, maybe more active than the people worried about her realize. She ended her 17-season daytime talk show in 2023, a huge chapter closing. But she didn't stop working. She launched Free Food Studios, her own production company, penned a deal with A&D Networks in 2024, giving them a 50% stake in her company. She's producing Rachael Ray's Meals in Minutes and Rachael Ray in Tuscany. 110 episodes announced in October 2025 for A&D, FYI, and Hulu. Season 3 of Meals in Minutes premiered in January 2025. Not the schedule of someone slowing down. She promotes her gin brand, appears at festivals, shows up on The Drew Barrymore Show. She does events for Ukraine, co-hosts the Blue Moon Burger Bash with Brooklyn Beckham. She now lives a more secluded life between New York and Italy. Purchased a home in Tuscany in 2021. Tells interviewers she prefers it there. Her husband John loves New York. She tells him to go as often as he likes, stay as long as he wants. A marriage of 20 years allows space. Him in the city, her in the Italian countryside. Is that a healthy distance? Growing apart? Or just two people who love each other figuring out how to exist in their late 50s with different needs? In October 2025, she addresses rumors she's disappeared. Tells US Weekly she's busier than ever. Too much work to do to attend every public event, but she sounds frustrated. Defensive almost. Like the constant scrutiny exhausts her. Her inner circle, according to the Daily Mail's anonymous sources, is concerned. Those close to Rachael are so concerned. She has shut people out and lives a very secluded life. But who are these sources? How close are they really? And if they're so concerned, why are they talking to tabloids instead of talking to her? She hasn't disclosed major health issues publicly. The falls she mentioned in October 2024. The wisdom tooth someone blamed for speech issues in October 2025. That's it. That's all we have that's confirmed. Much of the concern stems from tabloid amplification and social media scrutiny of celebrities aging in the public eye. Rachael is 57 now, not the 30-something who launched 30-Minute Meals in 2001. Not the 40-something hosting a daytime talk show. She's embracing aging naturally. No obvious plastic surgery or cosmetic enhancements. No makeup in casual home videos. Hair undone. Looking like a regular person instead of a television personality. Is that concerning? Or is that just what 57 looks like when you're not performing? Some fans defend her fiercely, pointing out that she's simply stopped wearing makeup. That we're all so used to seeing women with full faces on camera that we panic when they look human. That natural aging plus no cosmetic intervention creates a different appearance that doesn't mean illness. Others remain worried, convinced something serious is happening, convinced she's hiding it, convinced the people around her aren't being honest about her condition. Both groups are watching the same videos, drawing completely different conclusions. So what's really happening with Rachael Ray? Nobody watching from the outside knows, and that's what's driving everyone crazy. Is she dealing with health problems she's chosen to keep private? That's her right. Celebrities don't owe us their medical history. Did the falls she mentioned cause more damage than she's letting on? Possible. Falls can lead to concussions, ongoing issues, complications that develop over time. Is her speech actually slurred, or is that confirmation bias from fans looking for problems? When you expect to see something wrong, you find it even if it's not there. Is the facial puffiness from medication, weight gain, natural aging, fluid retention, dental issues like that wisdom tooth someone mentioned? All plausible. None confirmed. Is the secluded life a red flag or just a preference? She's worked in the public eye since 2001. 24 years of cameras and appearances and constant public consumption. Maybe she's just tired. Maybe she wants to cook in Italy and be left alone. Is the odd behavior in videos actually odd or just her being playful in ways that don't translate well to short Instagram clips stripped of context? Are the people close to her genuinely concerned? Or is that tabloid narrative based on anonymous sources who may or may not exist? Did watching her house burn and losing her dog within months change something fundamental about how she approaches life? Would that show up in ways that look like illness but are actually grief or trauma or exhaustion? Is she fine and everyone's overreacting? Is she struggling and hiding it? Is it somewhere in between where life is just harder at 57 than it was at 37? And that's showing in ways that concern people who remember her differently. Every question leads to more questions, no answers. Just speculation bouncing around social media creating narratives that may or may not reflect reality. Is she okay? Define okay. Is anyone really okay at 57 after watching their house burn and their dog die and ending a nearly two-decade career and navigating a marriage while living on different continents and aging under constant public scrutiny? Does she need help? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe she has help and chooses privacy. Maybe she's fine and we're all catastrophizing. Maybe something's wrong and she's handling it privately like she has every right to do. So what do we do with that? Do we keep worrying? Keep analyzing every video for signs of decline? Keep demanding answers to questions she hasn't volunteered to answer? Or do we give her the space to be human? To age without performing youth? To struggle if she's struggling without having to perform recovery? To live privately if that's what she chooses? Maybe the answer is this. Pay attention. Notice when someone we care about seems different, but also trust that they're allowed to be different. That change doesn't always equal crisis. That privacy doesn't always mean hiding. Rachael Ray helped millions of people learn to cook, to make something out of nothing, to feed themselves and their families with love and resourcefulness. Maybe now, whatever she's going through, she needs the same grace she extended to us. The understanding that sometimes you're making it work with what you have. Sometimes you're rebuilding. Sometimes you're just trying to get through the day. Whatever's happening with Rachael Ray, she's still here, still working, still creating, still showing up in whatever capacity she chooses. Is that enough? Is she okay? Only she can answer that. And she doesn't owe us the answer.